Hi, I'm Freddie Spencer reporting after the 2017 Argentina Grand Prix. What an interesting weekend it was. A lot of twists and turns to the drama, for sure. Let's talk about the racetrack. The racetrack is definitely bumpier than it was a few years ago. If you look at the lap times, they're almost 2 seconds slower as far as qualifying. That comes down to track conditions. I think the track is definitely bumpier, and that's affecting them. I think it's also the fact that the Bridgestone tires were maybe a little faster, a little less difficult for the riders to push to that edge, maybe a little more forgiving in many ways. And certainly the single ECU has affected the riders' ability to, where it specifically can adjust it for their bike. For sure the Hondas have been affected by that, I think the most. Talking about the Hondas, Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa, what a really difficult and terrible weekend it was for them. Let's talk about Marc first. Marc, who goes out and he's feeling the pressure, I think, of Maverick Vinales and the consistency that Maverick has shown on the Yamaha, winning the first race. Going into this race, I think Marc felt that he needed to win, and he made a mistake. And it comes down to certainly the front tire issues, having to run that harder front tire on the Honda. But I think it's more than that. I think it comes down to him feeling a little bit of pressure, and none of us are immune to that, no matter what level the rider is. That certainly can happen. And now it's going to be interesting to see, going into a track like Texas, Austin, where he is dominated, if he's going to be able to rise up, get out there, and of course he needs to win. But I think at least he certainly needs to finish close to Maverick and not let Maverick get too far ahead. Dani Pedrosa, is just unfortunate for Dani that he had that crash. Same corner as Marc, of course. And then, but Cal Crutchlow, who represented Honda well, he kind of worked around it, kept his head, didn't make any mistakes, and was running second there until the very end. Jorge Lorenzo is certainly almost beyond disappointing for him. His crash so early in the race and that mistake comes from partially being so far back in qualifying. I think it's, if you look at the situation Ducati is in, when you look at the 2015 and 2016 bikes and how well they're performing, and even Petrucci this weekend on the 2017 was running quicker and more consistently better than Dovi and certainly Jorge on the same motorcycle. So I don't know what's going on there. We'll have to kind of see what happens as the season goes on. But Ducati is definitely struggling with that bike, but the older bikes seem to be doing okay. The satellite teams. And of course the Yamaha squad. Really a great run for them. I think it shows, one, if you look at Zarco and Folger on the Tech 3 bikes, they've, in the first two races, have done a great job on a bike that is a year old, but I think it kind of shows where the level of performance and improvement on these newer bikes, the 2017 Yamaha, except of course for Vinales, the 2016 seems to be doing as good or maybe even better. And it's great to see those rookies doing such a good job. But Vinales and Rossi, of course, at the top of the list. Vinales, what can you say? Each week, he just seems to get stronger and stronger. And what's really impressive, as I've said before, is just the way that he manages the race. Two different ways that he won the first two races. The first one just was patient and kind of let the race come to him. He did the same thing in the second one. You could see he was in second and just kind of pushing Marc along. Marc made the mistake, and then he took over, and he just maintains. And it seems so easy for him, which is what happens when you just got that clear thinking and on top of your game. And he seems so comfortable with the Yamaha. And then, of course, Valentino Rossi, who saved the best performance for Sunday afternoon as he normally does. And just kind of put some pressure on Cal there, waited his chance and made the pass for second place. What's going to be interesting is, some of y'all probably already know this, but Michelin was talking about bringing a fourth tire, and the only thing They didn't get a chance to run on Saturday, which was going to be a little harder construction front, and with the new profile. And that's going to be interesting to see, because the requirement, and we'll have to see what happens with this, but they're only supposed to have 3 fronts and 3 rears for a race weekend, and not 4. There was some talk about that. I don't know what's going to happen with that. We'll have to see what happens when they get to Texas and see how that gets worked out. But that new construction front that they've made an adjustment, I think for sure that was kind of brought along because Valentino was struggling. But some of the other riders after Qatar talked about the front being a little bit too soft for them too. So a little stiffer construction front. We'll see if that kind of brings the Hondas back into the fold a little bit, helps Valentino in his struggles, and we'll see how it affects the field. But it should be interesting as we go forward here and we go to the 3rd race, see if Marc can get up there and bring that battle to Vinales like everybody's waiting to see. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you are too. We'll see you next time.